Welcome to my podcast. This is Mood Swings by Robert Leckington. Episode number 4. I know it's been a couple weeks since I've done my last podcast, and I've been trying to, come up with different things to talk about and everything. But in the meantime, I actually was able to get on iTunes, so that's a good thing. Able to get my word out there to a much broader audience kind of thing, I'm hoping that maybe get some more people to listen to the podcast, and, maybe they can get something out of it, like I've, always said to you guys and everything. This, kind of one of the reasons why I got into doing podcasts was because, for one, I'm going to school for journalism, and I think that this is kind of an exercise in being able to, do journalistic work before I even get a job as a journalist. I don't know. I kind of got the idea from a music producer by the name of deadmau5. He has like a video series on YouTube where he has what he calls Coffee Run. What it is he gets all of his high-profile friends. I know that like Tommy Lee was. He was one of his guests on his show, where what they do is they start out at his apartment, they go and they get coffee. In the meantime, he's asking them all different kinds of questions. They're talking about different things and whatever, and then they eventually make it back to the apartment or whatever. So I was thinking, okay, well, if he could do something like that, maybe I could do something that's, a little more of a genre kind of thing, like with acting. I could talk to actors and entertainers and people like that myself, but I don't know, I'm trying to get it to something that's at least a little bit a little bit informational on my part, I guess, getting the experience to do what I do, and that way I can show people that, yeah, I've got a successful podcast, and take notice of me, man. That's kind of a goal. So, but I also kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to be an actor, or at least how you can get to be an actor. It's a little easier than people think. You don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on different things. You don't have to go out and buy clothes, although eventually you're going to want to have some kind of a style all your own in what is known as a niche. But as a beginning actor, you really don't know what that niche is until you've developed something, you've learned more about yourself, what your capabilities are, and things like that. It's always good to look into the things that you do. Are you a skier? Are you a bowler? Do you sit at home and watch TV? These are the kinds of things that you want to ask yourself when you're trying to identify your niche. As an actor, you need to know what that is so that you can market yourself properly. It's good to know people, but if you don't know people that know of agents and managers and things like that, then you're going to need to work yourself in, and to do that you have to be looking at casting notices and things like that. There are a lot of different ways of doing it. There's Craigslist. they have a TV film tab on their jobs section. That would be kind of an entryway of getting into the whole casting notice kind of thing. Not a good place to really look for legitimate work. I know that they do a lot of like adult related, casting notices, and you kind of get bogged down with all that crap. But to get really good casting notices, you want to belong to a website like actorsaccess.com. They're legitimate. They're like kind of an industry standard when it comes to casting notices and things like that. If you want to do background, there are a bunch of different background websites. Background being people that are just they're not principal actors, people that have lines. They're basically in the background. They don't say much. They're just doing a lot of action. That's what a background actor is. If you want to do that kind of work, there's websites like New York Castings, Central Casting. That's another big one. I mean, they're both West and East Coast. In fact, they're even expanding into like the Midwest and like Atlanta, Georgia. I've heard that they have things going on in like Miami, at least in the lower, the southern states kind of thing. They're expanding all over the place. So if you want to do background acting, Central Casting is a good one to do. New York Castings, though, they do a mix of background and principal work. I know that I've gotten a lot of work through New York Castings, so some people I know haven't really had a good, I don't want to say relationship, but they haven't had any good opportunities through New York Castings. So I guess it's just a matter of what it is that you're really looking for and what they're looking for the most part. But the casting notices are where it starts. You have to know what your niche is, so that when you submit to these casting notices, you're basically sending your headshot, your demo reel, or anything that relates to whatever they're looking for in the casting notice. I mean, that's a better way of being able to get the job if you can match what it is that they're looking for. Especially pay attention to age range. I know that, like, for me, I can work a variety of different ages between 20s and 40s kind of thing. It just, I have that kind of look, but I mean, you want to pay attention to what it is that they're asking for. Submit for things that you feel that you can deliver on, but it's got to be within their parameters, I guess, just to make sure that and if you don't be sending them things by email saying you're right for the part when you know that you're not, because it's just that you end up being the type of person that nobody wants to cast, because you're putting yourself out there for things that they know that you can't be cast for, kind of thing. I mean, obviously they're not going to know until you've already submitted for it, but then you're causing problems by doing that. So once they find out that you're a troublemaker, then you're not castable. That's just the plain truth. So but the casting notices are where it starts. If you can get in with a good enough agent, the agent is the one that basically books your work. The difference between an agent and a manager is the one that manages your career. They help you define who you are, where to go. They can even help you get an agent. But an agent is the one that sells you. They're the ones that get you the work. So a manager defines you and an agent sells you. So that's the difference between the two of those people. It's always better to have an agent first, I think. I don't know. I mean, that's all personal preference, but I kind of know who my character is and what my niche is. So, as long as I can manage my own career at this point, I think I'm good to go. So really all I need is just an agent, and I'm working towards that. So if you feel that you need a manager yourself, by all means, go for it. You know, there's a scale, a rate scale that you have to pay. You always want to be with a legitimate agent, because the legitimate agents are the ones that are franchised with the union. They charge 10%. That's a flat rate, and they charge 10% of whatever they book you. Now that's a point right there. 10%. Now, if you're with an unfranchised agent, they can charge you anywhere from 10 to whatever they want to charge. Now, if you're willing to give your money out freely, by all means, go ahead. But it's better to be with a franchised agent that will only charge you 10% of whatever they book. Now, a manager, they'll charge you 15% or more, which is pretty standard. But in the case of an agent, they only charge you 10% of what they book you. Your manager is going to charge you 15% of anything that you book yourself, anything that an agent books you. So you're paying them no matter what. So you got to be careful on who you're dealing with. You know, there's a lot of shysters out there. It's always a better idea to, do some homework. Find out who these people are. You can ask around if you know people that are actors that have really good agents and really good managers. Talk to them. Find out, just what it is that they can offer you. Maybe your actor friends can help you get a reference and get you in with that agent or manager if that's what you want. It's a lot of pitfalls in this business. So you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself at all costs. There are a lot of shysters out there. So, just be careful. And I'm sure that if this is the kind of work that you want to do, then do it. You can do it. You can get a really big break, even in the beginning. I mean, there are people that within their first week of even getting into acting classes and things like that, they get picked up by an agent, and the next thing you know, they're on a sitcom where they're making residuals, money on the back end kind of thing. It's real easy, but at the same time, it's real hard, it doesn't come easy to a lot of people. For me, it's definitely not coming easy. That's why I'm trying to make my own breaks and things like that. I'm trying to get my own thing going so I don't have to rely on, getting an agent or whatever. But, I mean, that's the eventual goal. That's the eventual goal for any actor, any entertainer. They want an agent to get them the better work. The agent is the person that's going to fight for you, kind of thing. I mean, if you get into a situation where, things are just not going right, and it's really not because of what you're doing, an agent can step in and say, hey, let's get this settled, kind of thing. That's their job. So, not to get back into the agent thing, but, it's a fun industry, but it's a tough industry. So I just wanted to kind of stress that. But I think that now that I've kind of explained who I am and a little bit about the business that I'm trying to pursue, I think that I could probably even do an interview or two soon. I have a friend of mine that I gotta ask the right questions, I think, and I got to learn what those questions are. I got to research up a little bit on him, and he's an actor. He's based out of New York City, and he's been in the business a lot longer than I have. So I kind of want to ask him questions about that and what he's up to now, and I'm hoping that I can learn something, kind of thing, and And, hopefully you guys can too. So that should be coming up in the next couple of webisodes or podcasts or whatever this thing is. I'm going to try and not do this as a weekly thing, because I know that doing it as a weekly thing is a little much. So I'm going to try and get a podcast in whenever I can. It may be once a month, maybe twice a month kind of thing. But at this time, it's kind of up in the air as to a schedule or a timeline or something like that. So, I'll get something in as soon as I can. I'll try and get it, as clean as I can, because I know right now I'm in a car and audio sounds like garbage, but I want to do mobile podcasts, I want to do sit down podcasts, so I'm going to be all over the place, and as long as you guys are staying with me, everything will be great. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks.